All right. Hey, how are you today? Hello, Steve Vonner, attorney Steve Vonner, I should say. We are back and we are talking in this video about a very important topic that's big and is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Without further ado, let's head to the Attorney Steve litigation whiteboard. Okay. I know what you're saying. What is all this stuff up here? What's all this scribbling? What's he doing? What? This guy's crazy. No, this is my way that I learn things, and so this is the way I teach things as well. It's called mind mapping, okay? It's called for visual learners, okay? But we are talking today about business interruption insurance. Everything is going crazy now with riots, protesters, shutdown orders, lockdown orders, curfew orders, all kinds of things, okay? There's businesses that operate at night. How do you operate if you have a curfew? So there are many businesses experiencing what's called as business interruption and loss of income. Now, it's not only the tenants. There's a lot of commercial tenants, restaurant owners, gym owners, people that own businesses, small businesses. But it's also the landlords. It's also the commercial property owners, the people that own the property. So with these civil, what we call over here, I have order of civil authority. These are the orders that can come from your mayor. It can come from your governor. It can come from your president. And let's just check these things off as we go here so you can make sure we're following everything. But you have these orders of civil authority that can come down telling you what to do, what you can't do. You can't run your business. Your business is not essential. It's essential. You can do this, but you can't do that. You can have a restaurant, but you can't have 50 people in. You can only have 5 people in, okay? So there's all kinds of things that are going on right now, and these are leading to what we call, did I spell that wrong? Can you believe this? Business income loss and extra expense. This is kind of what the insurance is known as. Now, you may be one of the lucky ones that has pandemic insurance. I have that down there, pandemic insurance. For example, Wimbledon, the tennis match in New York, they have been paying on a commercial policy for business interruption. And from what I understand, you could look it up. This is just what I understand. They were paying $2 million a year for a policy. Now things get canceled, blah, blah, blah. You can't hold your event. They're going to collect over $100 million in insurance. Okay, like I said, don't quote me. This is just what I've heard through the grapevine. Look it up yourself. But anyway, so this is interesting. So now people, business owners over here, you got your tenant, you got your landlord, and they are going, what do we do now? What do we do now? We're not making the money. We've got employees. All right, you may have some employees over here. What's going on with the employees? There's so many things that are going on right now that I just wanted to do this quick video about business interruption insurance. If you're not sure if you have insurance that covers you for these kinds of losses, we do offer a flat fee service that will review your insurance policies. But this is what you're usually looking at, okay? You have your tenant, you have your landlord. Real quick primer on insurance law. This is, let's say you have an insurance policy. You are the insured with a D. The insurance company is the insurer with an R, insurer, okay? They will typically have an adjuster that's trying to, this is what I always tell people. Our firm used to handle one of the biggest insurance companies in the United States. I'm not going to go into that, but we've done a lot of insurance law, subrogation. But the insurance company is usually represented by the adjuster. And as I like to tell people, they're selling papers and promises, okay? Papers and promises, that's what they sell. Policies, they sell policies, paper and promises. What is it? So whatever the policy says, okay? So you got to see what you're covered for, what you're not covered for. You may see this sometimes when you have medical insurance. You go in and they say, well, that's not covered. You say, what? Why is this not covered? Well, sir, read the policy, DDD. There's exclusions. Okay, there's exclusions from coverage. You don't have coverage, sir. Okay, so those things can happen. At any rate, the business income loss and extra expense insurance, have your contract reviewed. Let's see what you got. Is there anything dealing with the civil authority clause? What happens if this happens? These orders from your local officials, your state officials, or even the president himself. what happens? Okay, so you want to have your contracts reviewed to see these are considered to be, as I have right here, first party breach of contract case, first party breach of contract, if they don't cover you. Okay, so the insured pays the premium on the policy, and you always have to make sure that you're up to date and current on the policy, because if you're not current on the policy, they can deny you on that ground. Okay, so what you pay your premiums, they insure you, you're covered by whatever's in here, and it can cover you for things like property damage, income loss if you're like the tenant and you've lost all this income, you're a restaurant. Your supply chain is down. If you're like a grocery store, the meat supply, as they say, the meat supply is going down. So now you can't even serve meat, so you're going to have a business loss. Things like that is what you're looking down. Slowdowns, shutdowns, supply chain problems. Okay, these are going to be some common problems that we're going to see, and this is only going to be a growing area of business. Okay, growing. So have your policies reviewed. Check out these civil authority clause. Are there ambiguities? This is one I like right here. Ambiguities. Now, many times these insurance contracts are like form contracts. They've ran through the industry. They differ, but you may have some ambiguities. You say, what does that mean? What do you mean act of God, like a force majeure right here, like a force majeure clause? What do they mean, act of God? What does that mean? Is a virus an act of God? Is this an act of terrorism? What exactly is this? What about protest? You want to be able to know what your exclusions are. That means what's not covered. Okay? But you want to have your ambiguities looked at. Now, there's an old saying I have right here, what I call the Tiebreaker Clause. Okay, the Tiebreaker Clause. And there's an old saying in law, check out your state. Contracts are a function of state law, so check out your state, see what it says. But see if ambiguities are construed against the drafter of the contract. You always want to check on that. Ambiguities construed against the drafter. Now, this is good bar exam stuff. If you have a bar exam situation, there's a contract, you don't know what it means, what it says, it's ambiguous, it's vague. This is a time to basically talk about, will ambiguities be construed against the drafter? Whoa, it looked like an earthquake. Will ambiguities be construed against the drafter? And under California law anyway, Civil Code 1654, what they try to do when they look at insurance policies or contracts, they try to ascertain what is the actual intent of the parties. What does the four corners of the contract say? This is what we call the four corners approach. What does it say? And if there's ambiguities, it will be construed against the drafter of the agreement. Why? They had the best opportunity to clarify the ambiguities and they didn't do it. Okay, now sometimes we have clauses in contracts that say ambiguities will not be construed against the drafter. Both parties had an attorney, so that's in there sometimes too. But I call this CC Civil Code 1654 the Tiebreaker Clause. If you don't know what it is, in baseball, tie goes to the runner. When you're dealing with documents and contract drafting, ambiguities go against the drafter. Okay, so this comes up sometimes. So you want to look at your exclusions. Is there a viral exclusion? Is there exclusions for protest and anarchy and graffiti? What is covered? What is not covered? Is there a direct physical loss? Can you show that there's a direct physical loss? Sometimes they may say, well, we're not going to pay you if there's a virus. We're not going to pay you for that. But if you have some direct physical loss, like a fire or a flood, something, somebody burned down your building in a protest, like a COVID-19 protest, then that may be covered. So you have to look at the terms. You have to see what you have. I've got some terms down here. I'm not going to go into them. First party breach of contract. And then you have bad faith. Now, what's bad faith? Bad faith is when an insurance company has a duty to defend you or to pay you or to cover your loss, and they just snub your nose. This has to be something egregious, basically, something in bad faith. They're denying you. They're denying coverage. They're denying protection under the contract in bad faith. And these can turn into really big cases. These can turn into really big cases right here. So if you're not sure, your insurance company is denying you and it just doesn't seem right, have your contract reviewed by an insurance lawyer and check things out, okay? What else? It can cover, insurance can cover your building itself, like the graffiti, the damage, the contents. You may have inventory, things like that. You may have supplies and inventory and computers. You may have all kinds of things that are, people are ransacking these buildings, they're stealing, they're looting. I mean, it's incredible. So these are things that you're looking at, your loss of rent. A landlord may say, well, look, with all this happening, my tenant, because of the order of civil authority, my tenant isn't making money. Now I'm out, the loss of rent. So there's a lot of different angles that you're going to see here. Finally, let's see. Final thing as I'm going to talk about is the burdens. The burdens of proof, or I would call these shifting burdens of proof in a insurance case. The initial burden of proof is going to be on the plaintiff or the policy holder, right? Or the insured, we're learning words here, to prove that there was an act that happened that triggers coverage. So you're going to have to prove that something happened that's covered under the policy. This is why you would get your contract reviewed, your insurance policy. Then the burden would shift to them to show that there's some kind of exclusion, there's something that you're not covered. Okay, then the burden shifts to them, and then it would shift back to you if they can show you that. You would have to come back and show some sort of exception or show that they're wrong or that they're misinterpreting, those kinds of things. So this is what we call business interruption in a nutshell. This is what's going on. This is what we're looking at. It's crazy out there. I can tell you there's a lot of restaurants, business owners, nightclubs, exercise facilities, all kinds of places that are not able to run their business right now, mainly because of the virus, mainly because of these orders of civil authority, but also because protests now just seem to be growing, and that is causing interruption, graffiti, people are boarding up their businesses. So if you need help with an insurance contract, you know where to find us. I've got a new website for you. Covidcounsel.com. Covidcounsel.com. You know how to spell it. Covidcounsel.com. I'm putting up resources and things that may be very helpful to you as a business owner, especially small businesses now that are just really taking a beating. So, Attorney Steve Vondran, this is general legal information only, not legal advice. I hope it gives you just a little primer on business interruption insurance and some of the things that are kind of going to go on in this area, okay? I anticipate this is going to be very, very big. We're going to see a lot of claims, okay? Take care, be safe, don't go crazy, be nice to your neighbors, and we will talk again soon, okay? Thanks a lot. Bye now.